They join us now. Democratic Representative Abigail Spanberger is the Virginia Republican representative. Chip Roy of Texas. What do you think? You guys don't like this. I mean, don't like it. But don't like trading, which makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. But I don't know how your colleagues feel.
Well, I guess you just made some breaking news that my good friend Abigail's a Republican.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I'm the Democrat in this conversation.
My apologies.
Go ahead, Abigail.
Thanks for an early morning laugh, Chip. Congressman Roy and I have partnered on this now for 3 Congresses, and our idea, our principle of this issue and of our priority in this reform is simple, that members of Congress, through our votes, through our actions, have the ability to move markets. And as a result of that reality, members of Congress shouldn't be able to buy or sell individual stocks. We think it's a common sense reform that makes real sense to the American people. It's a way to ensure that we're making decisions in the best interests of those we represent, and that the information we need to have access to along the way in our ability to do our job is also not information that we might use to our own benefit.
So, but what do your colleagues think?
Well, I'll jump in here, and Abigail makes a good point. And there was a recent New York Times article showing that about 1/5 of the members of Congress, almost 100 actually, made trades and had equities and investments in their portfolios that potentially directly conflicted with their duties, and that there was conflicts of interest in the committees they sit on or some of the legislation they're working on. Now, I don't actually impugn the motives of any of my colleagues. I think it's just natural that it raises questions of trust with the American people. Every single issue of our economy is touched on by Congress on a regular basis. So Abigail and I just thought we should get out there and try to change this and give us a path to be able to break away from the connection of investments in our decision making in Congress. Now, a lot of our colleagues are interested in this. We had, I think, 60 co-sponsors on the bill last Congress, bipartisan. We had 12 Republicans. I'm talking to my colleagues now going into this session. Now, we're just getting set up. Our committees are getting structured. And look, Abigail and I aren't saying that it's our bill is, our way or the highway. We're saying we want to start this conversation. We put out legislation out there to frame it. We were early in doing so. June of 2020, we put this out there. So it's coming up on 3 years. We think it's a good model. But look, if we want to talk about different ways to do it, blind trusts are complex. Let's figure out how to make it work. We're not looking at hamstring.
Where do you see the fault lines, though? When you talk to your colleagues, since this is effectively regulating yourselves, where do you see the fault lines? I mean, when people say to you, I can't support this, they tell you what?
Well, and so arguably it's interesting because this is a bill that across the political spectrum, we have support. The kind of the most left of the Democratic Party, the most right of the Republican Party, and everybody in between. We have co-sponsors across time in Congress, across geography, across committee representation, across ideological spectrums. And in fact, we're introducing it today with more co-sponsors than we've ever had at the point of introduction. And I've already received texts from additional colleagues saying, I read you're introducing it today. I hadn't, put my paperwork in, but I want to be on it when we introduce. And really what it comes down to, some of the pushback that we've heard from colleagues is just, what would be the impact on them? How would this sort of change things? And what Chip and I have said all along is it's really straightforward. We go into classified briefings. We have meetings with CEOs of large companies who share very openly their challenges, their experiences, their successes, what's working, what isn't. And the American people should never be reading reports in the news that Congress had a classified briefing on COVID or Congress had a classified briefing on a potential invasion of Ukraine, as was the case last year. And then we see lawmakers buying stocks that so clearly would benefit because of those difficult situations, or selling stocks that would be expected to potentially lose value in that circumstance. Well, it's clear. If I might just kind of take it off the table, that restores trust.
We got to jump. We have some data that's coming across the tape in just a couple moments. I want to thank you again for joining us, though.